I've had a lot of questions asking me how I got my iPad from, where I got mine from. I've had loads of tweets, and I literally get a lot of PMs through YouTube asking me how I got it and how you guys can get it. And I was in the Apple store today, and some of the staff were asking me how they could get theirs and what charges are associated with getting one from the United States, because that is the only place you can get an iPad from at the current time. So I hope by sharing some of my experiences it will give you an insight as to what to expect, what charges to expect. So my iPad is the 16GB Wi-Fi version. I got a friend in the United States to ship it off to me. He paid $530 US, which is 344 British pounds. Once the iPad arrived in the UK, it went through clearance, and customs and brokerage charges were £70. So all in all, I paid 414 British pounds, and this is excluding the courier charges. My friend was lucky enough to have a UPS company account, so he paid for the courier charges. I didn't have to, so that would be another £30 to £40 for courier charges. Now, the important thing to note here is the custom charges that I went over. If you go for the 32 gig or the 64 gig, obviously the custom charges are going to be higher because it's a much more expensive product. So do be aware of those charges that you're going to be hit with. If you're short on cash, make sure you've got enough on you. Now, the way these courier companies charge you customs is UPS tend to take money off you on delivery. So the guy comes, he gives you a package only when you give him cash. Or you can phone up UPS and pay by your credit card, and that's it. DHL, on the other hand, I noticed that they'll deliver your package and they won't send you an invoice for the customs 2 weeks later. So don't be doing high jumps and start high fives thinking that they've forgotten about the custom charges. They haven't. It's just the way they work. They deliver it, and then 2 weeks later they'll send you a notice, and if you don't pay it off, they'll take you to court and so on. So be aware of that. There's two main ways I would recommend you buying. The first one is, like how I done, if you know a friend, a colleague, a family member, tell them to get it for you and ship it across. That is the safest and best way to get an iPad, in my opinion. Number two is, and I didn't think I would be saying this, is eBay. You might find a good deal, but that's not the point. PayPal is quite secure if the seller tends to be, or is dodgy, or turns out to be dodgy, or is messing you about. PayPal will give you your money back, which is kind of cool. One major downer that I unfortunately found out today is AppleCare. I went to my local Apple store and told them I wanted AppleCare for the iPad, and they said come back when it's launched in the UK, when the iPad is launched in the UK, and we'll hook you up to an AppleCare protection plan. I said, hey, fair enough. Then he said to me, and this was a strange conversation, he said to me, if something were to go wrong with the iPad, we will not fix it, and we will not replace it. And I was thinking, and I said to him, I can still buy AppleCare for the iPad in the UK. And he goes, yes. A few seconds later, a few minutes of silence, or a few seconds of silence, he said, if something goes wrong with the iPad, you will have to take it back to the United States. And then I was thinking to myself, well, why would I pay for a protection plan when you're telling me I can't fix it? And the whole purpose of the plan is, if something goes wrong with something, you take it and you guys fix it. And it turned out to be a strange conversation. By the way, the guy was brand new, so he wasn't a typical salesperson. You know when you walk into a store and you know a guy is trying to sell you something, I can spot them miles away. This guy, he might be right. He works for Apple, so he probably is better informed than me. But I always thought along that AppleCare was a worldwide sort of thing. AppleCare was a worldwide coverage plan. Obviously, after my experience or my trip to the Apple Store today, that is not the case. So if someone can clarify that, that would be really appreciated. As a bit of a concern to me, because I've had to take in my iPhone a few times to the Apple Store, and I hope that is not the case. But I hope this video has given you some insight. Thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Do join me on eyeglassregion.com. I've got a few videos on there in relation to the Apple and iPad, everything Apple. So if you want to take a look, feel free to do so. I'm also on Twitter, twitter.com/i6glassregion. And it would be really cool if you can subscribe, hit the top button up here. That would be really cool of you. If not, hey, maybe next time. But thanks for watching.